Hello and welcome to Math 76, Chapter 7.6. We're talking about sales tax, which is something we do a lot because we live in Washington State, and it's kind of something we do in our head. There is two ways to solve sales tax. We can do it the way that we've been doing in class regularly, or we can do it just straight multiplying. I'm going to show you both ways right now. Number one. So it says hiking boots cost $89.50, and the sales tax rate is 8.6. Find the sales tax and the total amount. Okay, so sales tax, the first thing, if I want to do it straight way, I can change my percent into a decimal. So 8.6%. I want to make that into a decimal. In order to do that, I have to hop, and I'm going to hop 2 spots to the left. So I'm going to add some zeros, and I hop 2 times, and I get 0.086. And I can multiply that just like the setup is right here. I can multiply 0.086 times my purchase price. 89.50 times 0.086 gives me $7.69.7. And we're talking about dollars here, so of course we've got to round that to the nearest cent. So I'm going to round right there. My 7 tells me I'm going to round up. So this is equal approximately to 7.70. So that is my sales tax amount. $7.70. And then it says my total cost. So I've got to add $7.70 plus my original cost, $89.50. So I can put that in my calculator. 7.7 plus 89.5 gives me 97.20 as my total. Okay, that is one way to do it. Another way to do it is the way that we've been doing in class, where we have set up a percent over 100 equals parts to the whole. That's the one that students tend to like the most. It's a little bit longer, but as long as it gets you to the answer, that's fine too. Okay, so remember our setup for these is percent over 100 equals parts to the whole. Okay, so this one, it already gives us our percent, 8.6 over 100 equals, and then parts to my whole. Now, is the cost of my boots the whole, or is sales tax the whole? Sales tax is the part that I'm solving for, and my whole is my total cost, 89.50. And my N looks like a W, so I'm going to erase that and fix that. N. There we go. And now we need to cross multiply and solve. And we are so good at cross multiplying and solve at this point. We go 8.6 times 89.50 is equal to 100N. That's an N. Not the best drawing. Okay, here we go. 8.6 times 98.5 gives me 769.7 equals 100N. Okay, and then I want to get N all by itself. I'm going to divide both sides by 100. And I get 7.697 equals N, which is what I got the first time. And then I'd have to go through and round, just like I did before. And then I'd add that to my purchase price for the hiking boots and combine those into one. Okay, so that's the two ways of doing it. Either one is totally okay. I'm not going to show both for everything. I'm going to just show one for each. And I'll kind of alternate between the two methods. A bicycle was priced at $245 and has a sales tax rate of 7.25. What is the total cost? So first thing I'm going to do is I want to convert my 7.25 into a decimal. So I have 7.25%. So that's the same as 7 plus 1/4%. Now I need to convert 1/4 into a decimal. So 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. So I get 7 plus 0.25, or 7.25%. Okay, so this is my percentage. My sales tax rate is 7.25%. And now I can use that. I'm going to use the first method on this one, and then the next one I'll use the other method that we've been doing in class. Again, either one of them is acceptable. So if I look back at my setup at the top, it says sales tax or tip is the rate times the cost. So I have right here I have my percentage, and I've got to make it into a rate. So I need to do 2 hops. I need to add some zeros on there, and I get 0.0725. That's my tax rate, and I'm going to multiply that times my cost. 245 times 0.0725. Okay, I got to use my calculator. I did not know that. 0.0725 times 245 equals 17.625. Okay, and again I'm going to need to round, so I draw my line right here, and I'm going to round up, so that gives me 17.63. And then what am I solving for? I just solved for tax, so that's my tax amount, so that's dollars. And then I need to find my total cost, so my total cost is going to be adding those numbers together. So I'm going to add my tax plus my bicycle price. So it's 245 plus 17.63. And I get 63, 2, carry the 1, 6, 2. Old school math. Okay, and that's what I get. I get $262.63. Great, awesome, cool. Next one, okay, I could do it and reverse it and find the percentage just like I did on the other one, or I'm going to use this one is percent over 100 equals parts to the whole. So I'm asking myself, what am I solving for? It says, what is the sales tax rate or the percent? So percent over 100 equals my parts to the whole. So it gives me my sales tax 4.68, and then it gives me a purchase price of 78. So I asked myself, which one's the part and which one's the whole? My whole is going to be the $78, the total purchase price, and my numerator is going to be 468. And then from here I would cross multiply and solve. Okay, I'll show cross multiply and solve. I'm not going to do it on all of them, but I'll do it for this one. I get 78p equals, I'm running out of room, getting too big with this writing. Let's try this again. 78p equals 100 times 4.68. Okay, there's an 8 there. So hard to read. Okay, I get 78p equals, and I can use my calculator or I can multiply my head. I get 468, and then I want to get p all by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 78, and I get p equals 468 divided by 78 gives me 6. And then I ask myself, what was I solving for? Sales tax rate. Percentage is my units. P equals 6. My sales tax rate is 6%. Awesome. Okay. The next one's going to say find the exact 15% of the total bill. Show all work to the nearest cent. Okay, let's go to the next page. We are trying to figure out a 15% tip. Okay, I'm going to set this up with the P over 100 method. You can choose your favorite method. If you don't want to do this one, you can do something else. P over 100 equals N over W. Okay, on this one, P, my percentage, they give it to me, 15 over 100 equals my part or my whole. What am I given? It says my restaurant bill is $24.60. $24.60 is my whole, because it's my whole restaurant bill, and I'm trying to solve for tip, which is part of the bill, which is part of the whole. So X. And from here, I cross multiply and solve. I get, this is my cross multiply, 15 times 24.60 equals 100x. So I get 15 times 24.60 equals 369. It's 100x. And then I'm just going to write right over this and divide by 100. So I get 3.69 equals X. That is my tip amount. That goes right here, $3.69. Okay, and then it asks for my total bill price. So I take my restaurant bill and I add tip. Okay, this is not too bad. It's actually not bad at all, right? The hardest part about tipping is figuring out what percent you should tip somebody and asking yourself, do I tip my, how much do I tip for takeout food? How much do I tip do I have to tip my doctor? Do I have to tip the dry cleaner? Do I have to tip my teacher? Yes, you do have to tip your teacher. Yes, that's a yes. Everything else, it's up to you. Okay, total bill is 24. Oh, and by the way, that was a joke. 24.60 plus my tip amount. I add it up. I'm going to use my mental math here. Make sure I'm not too rusty on this. I got 28.29 as my total bill. I'm going to let you solve number 5 and 6 on your own. Those are very similar. I believe in you. Okay? Okay. This one's a little bit harder, a little bit, but not impossible by any means. Very doable. A ski jacket is now on sale at 30% off. Find the discount and the sale price, okay? So first, let's figure out the discount. We want 30% of 165, okay? So I've got 30 over 100 equals my parts per whole. Is my ski jacket the total or the parts? The ski jacket, the total cost is 135. So my numerator is X. I'm going to cross multiply and solve. 135 times 30 equals 100x. So I get 135 times 30 equals 4,050 equals 100x. And then I want to get x all by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 100. My hundreds cancel. Look at me, doing so good. And I get x equals 40.50. So that's what I've solved for. And then I ask myself, what did I solve for? That's my discount, right? $40.50. That is my discount. That is how much they're going to take off the price of the jacket. That is not the price of the jacket. That's just how much I'm going to be paying less. So let's figure out what my total price of the jacket is, the sale price after the discount. I'm going to take my original cost, $135, and instead of adding it to the total like I would do with tip, I'm going to subtract it. So I'm going to subtract 40.50. And I'm feeling lazy. I'm going to put it in my calculator. 35 minus 40.50, and that gives me $94.50. That is my total new price. If you're a shopper, maybe you can do this all in your head. Maybe you just know. A book is marked down 25%. What is its sales price? Okay, same process as before. We are just going to figure out what our discount is and then take it away from our purchase price, okay? So let's set this up. It's marked down 25%, so immediately I know that it's 25 over 100 equals, and then is the price of my book the total or my discount? It's my total, so $49.95 is my denominator, and then my numerator is x. I'm going to cross multiply and solve. I get 25 times 49.95 equals 100x. 25 times 49.95 gives me a lot of stuff. And now I want to get x all by itself, so I've got to divide both sides by 100, which will help me solve this problem. Equals 100x. So I'm going to divide both sides by 100. I get 12.4875 equals x. And again, we're looking at cents, so I want to round. I look after the hundredth spot and I ask myself, am I going to round up or round down? I'm going to round up. So my discount is $12.49. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to subtract that from my original book purchase price of $49.95. And I'm going to subtract $12.49. And I'm not going to risk my mental math being that good. I'm going to put it in the calculator. And I get $37.46. That is my discount price. Amazing. Okay. Okay, for the next ones, I'm going to do setup only, and then you can solve from here. Okay. The number 9 says a snowboard is on sale for $129. What is the rate of discount? So first I have to figure out what is the discount amount, because otherwise I'm figuring out the percent of the total that I'm paying. I want the discount rate. So 180 minus 126. This is giving me my discount because 180 is its original price and 126 is this price that's on sale. So I get $54. This is my discount. Okay, I'm not good at arrows on here, but this is discount. Okay, that's my discount. And just like I did before, my setup is going to be parts per whole, and I am solving for the rate, so it's going to be P over 100. We're solving for P equals, and that's going to be my discount, 54. And when we figure out what our rate of discount is, we always do our discount divided by original. That's the hint on here too, 180. And then from here, I go ahead and plug it in and solve. Great. Okay, number 10. Now we're looking at a new formula. Okay, this is at the front of the packet as well, but our formula is, here, let me erase everything that's on here so it's not as distracting. Okay, it says principal and rate and time. So our formula is interest equals principal times rate times time. And our rate needs to be as a decimal and our time is in years. Okay, so I have my rate is 5%, and I need to change it into a decimal. So this is equal to, I've got some zeros here, and I'm going to hop 2 times 0.0. My decimal was here. Let me redo that one. Let me redo that. I have my decimal 5. My decimal's right here. And I got some extra zeros on here, and I'm going to hop 2 times. 1, 2, hop to the left. And I get This is where my decimal ends up. I get 0.05. So my interest is principal times rate times time. So 800 times my rate, 0.05 times my time, 2. And then pop this in the calculator. 800 times 0.05 times 2. So my interest is $80. And then it says, what's my total due? I'm going to add my principal to my interest. So like if you had a credit card and you're paying 5% over time and it was simple interest, you owe $880 at the end of 2 years. Now, we all wish that credit cards were 5% simple interest, but they aren't. So, but just for tens. Okay, so this one, I've got my principal, I've got my rate, and I've got my time. And I need to convert these into the right units. So first I need rate. I need 6% to be a rate. So I'm going to convert going this way into a decimal. I hop 2 times. I end up over here. So this is equal to 0.06. And then my time, 9 months. 9 months. I need to make that into year. How many months are there in a year? There are 12. So I divide it by however many months are in the year, and I get 9 divided by 12. And I'm just going to reduce like this. Decimals are just fine when we're doing interest rates, unless it's continuous. And we'll talk about those in class too. Okay, so now I have my numbers. I can plug them in and get P equals, sorry, not P, I equals PRT. So interest is equal to my principal, 2,400, times the rate, 0.06, times my time, times, this is a times as well, that's a decimal, 0.75. I put that in my calculator. 2,400 times 0.06 times 0.75 gives us 108. And then that is my interest, 108, and my total due is going to be 108 plus my principal, which was 2,400. So my total is going to be $2,508. Okay, nice work, nice work. Okay, one last one. Let's do the setup on this one, and you can do the multiplying from here. So principal is easy. Rate, okay, I've got 3.5%. And I want to convert that into a rate. I'm going to add some zeros on here. I'm going to move 2 hops to the left. 1, 2, this is where I end up. So my new rate is 0.035. And then my years, I've got 1.5 years. I'd like to make it so I can put that in my calculator. A half is 0.5, so this is equal to 1.5. So when I do my setup, it's going to be P equals my principal, not P, I keep saying P, but I mean I. Interest rate, is equal to my principal, 500, times my rate, 0.035, times the number of years, 1.5. And I'll let you put that in your calculator. That will be your interest, and then remember we have to add that to our total due to solve. Okay, let's do setup on these. Jada buys $58.36 dinner for her family. She wants to leave 18% tip. How much will she pay? Okay, first thing, we're going to set up percent over 100. 18 over 100 equals, and then we ask ourselves, is that price that she's paying for dinner the part or the whole? We are solving for tip. Tip is part. So whole goes down in the denominator, 58.36, and we are solving for tip, and we solve from here, and then once we solve for it, we have to add it to our original. I will let you finish that one. Okay, this one's difficult. This one it's not difficult, it just has a lot of steps. A store has 45% off everything. Sergey buys a camera and a case. The sales tax is 6% applied after the discount. What is his total bill? Okay, so we got a lot of steps in here. First, I have to figure out what is his total that he's buying. Then I need to figure out what his discount is and take that away from his purchase price and then apply sales tax. So there's a lot of stuff. First one's easy. We need to figure out the total of what he buys. So the camera plus the case. $287.95 plus $48. And I'm gonna use my calculator. And I get $335.95. So that's his price before the discount and before tax. So the order in which we do things when you go to the store is they don't put tax on your total, they put tax on after you have any discount. So first we need to do discount. Let's figure out what his discount is going to be. So it's 45% off everything, 45 over 100 equals, and that 335 is my total or my whole. Okay, so now I'm going to cross multiply, and I get 45 times 335 times 95 equals 100x. This was my setup. And let's multiply that times 45, and I get this big number here equals 100x. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 100. And I get 151.1775 equals x. This is my discount. Well, it's dollars, so I need a round. So I'm going to put my rounding right here, and then I'm asking myself, am I rounding up or rounding down? I am going to be rounding down. So, rounding up. So my total for my discount is $151.18. Okay? So that's how much I'm going to take away from my original total right here. So I'm going to subtract out 151.18. That gives me 184.77. So this is my price after discounts. And now I still have to add one more thing. I've got to figure out what my tax is. So now I need to find my tax, and I need to apply it to the purchase price. So my tax rate is 6 over 100 equals my part over whole. So we're solving for tax. That's going to be my part. And my whole is my new discounted purchase price. I'm going to cross multiply and solve. 6 times 1, 84.77. Make sure you can see that decimal here and here. Equals 100x. And then I'm going to get this times 6 gives me 1108.64 equals 100x. And I want to get x all by itself, so I am going to divide both sides by 100. I just don't like the green. I got to change it. So I divide both sides by 100, and I get 11.0862 equals x, because my hundreds canceled. Okay, and then again, it's dollars and cents. So I am going to need to round that, and I get my tax now. This is my tax. So my tax is $11.08. $11.09 because I'm rounding up. Tax equals 11.09, and I'm going to subtract that from my discounted purchase price. Not subtract, I'm going to add tax. I wish I could subtract tax. That would be amazing. I'm going to add my tax. So I'm going to add on here $11.09. $11.09 plus 184.77 gives me $195.86. Whew, that was a long one. Okay, just takes practice. I believe in you. We'll practice more in class.